Have you ever driven somewhere familiar, maybe your commute home, and arrived without really remembering the trip itself? Your body was driving, your mind was somewhere else entirely, yet you were safe the whole time, fully capable of reacting if needed. That experience has a name in psychology, a naturally occurring trance state, and it happens to almost everyone, almost every day, while reading a book that pulls you in, while daydreaming during a long meeting, in those few minutes just before sleep when your thoughts start to drift and blur. Self hypnosis works with this same natural ability. It doesn't create something foreign in your brain, it simply guides a state your mind already knows how to enter. And yet, so many people feel a quiet hesitation around the word hypnosis itself. Some picture stage performers snapping their fingers, others worry about losing control, saying something embarrassing, or being unable to wake up. It's an understandable fear, but it's based on entertainment, not science. Today, we're going to gently set that fear aside. We'll explore what self hypnosis really is, why your nervous system responds to it so naturally, and what you can honestly expect the very first time you try it. By the end, you won't just understand self hypnosis intellectually, you'll feel ready for it. Because before your mind can relax, it first needs to trust the process. And that trust starts with understanding. Let's begin. Let's clear up the biggest misconception first, because it matters more than any other. Self hypnosis is not mind control, not by a therapist, not by a recording, and not even by yourself. Throughout the entire process, you remain fully aware of your surroundings. You can hear sounds in the room. You can stop at any moment. You could open your eyes right now, mid session, and simply stand up. Nothing is taken from you, nothing at all. So if your ability to think, choose, and act doesn't disappear, what actually changes? What changes is attention. Picture your mind on an ordinary day. Thoughts jumping from a work email to tomorrow's to do list to a conversation from last week, all within a few seconds. That constant mental noise is exhausting, even when we don't notice it consciously. Self hypnosis gently narrows that noise. Instead of your attention scattering in 10 directions, it settles, like a camera lens slowly coming into focus. Your thinking doesn't stop, it simply stops competing with itself. And in that quieter, more focused space, something important becomes possible. Your body finally gets the chance to relax as deeply as your mind does. This is why self hypnosis is often described not as an escape from reality, but as a more focused relationship with it. One where your attention finally rests instead of racing. So, if it isn't about control, what is actually happening underneath biologically? To answer that, we need to talk about your nervous system and why it's been working so hard for so long. Here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Your body cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a repeated thought. When you're under chronic stress, deadlines, financial pressure, family responsibilities, or simply the habit of overthinking, your nervous system doesn't know the danger isn't physical. It reacts the same way it would to something urgent and immediate. Your heart rate rises slightly. Your breathing becomes shorter and shallower. Your muscles, especially around the shoulders and jaw, stay quietly tense, and your thoughts begin looping, replaying the same worries again and again as if repetition might somehow solve them. Over weeks and months, this becomes the default setting. Not because anything is wrong with you, but because the nervous system is simply doing its job, responding to signals it has learned to expect. This is where self hypnosis offers something genuinely useful. Through slower breathing, physical relaxation, and calm, guided attention, you send your nervous system a very different message, one it can actually understand. Right now, in this moment, there is no danger. It isn't a magic switch. It's a signal, repeated gently and consistently, that allows your body to shift out of alertness and into a state where rest becomes possible again. Many people describe this shift as the first time in a long while that their mind feels quiet, not empty, just quiet. But what does that quiet actually feel like from the inside? That answer might surprise you. One of the most common questions people ask before their first session is simple. What am I supposed to feel? Here's the honest answer. There isn't one universal experience, and that's completely okay. Some people feel a deep sense of physical relaxation, almost like sinking gently into a chair. Others notice something more subtle. Their thoughts simply become quieter, less urgent, less demanding of attention. Some describe a pleasant heaviness in their arms and legs, others feel the opposite, a kind of lightness, as if tension has simply lifted away. Some people stay aware of every single word spoken during the session. Others lose track of time entirely and are surprised when it ends. Both experiences are equally normal, equally valid, and equally effective. There is no correct way to experience self-hypnosis, and there's no need to force anything. You don't have to empty your mind completely. That's a common myth and honestly an unrealistic goal for anyone. Your only task is much simpler. Allow yourself to follow the guidance and let your brain respond in whatever way feels natural to it. Think of it less like performing a task and more like giving yourself permission to stop performing altogether, even for just a few minutes. Of course, this raises another honest question many people quietly wonder about. Does it actually work the very first time you try it? The truthful answer is, it depends. And that's not a disappointing answer, it's simply a realistic one. For some people, the very first session feels surprisingly powerful. They notice a genuine sense of calm they haven't felt in a long time. For others, the shift is more gradual, becoming clearer after the second or third session, once their mind becomes familiar with the process. Both experiences are completely normal, and neither one is better than the other. It helps to think of self-hypnosis the way you'd think of any new skill, like stretching before it becomes flexibility, or practicing an instrument before it becomes music. The very first attempt rarely represents the full potential of consistent practice. Each time you return to it, your brain becomes a little more familiar with the pathway into that relaxed, focused state. It's not unlike well-worn footpath through grass. The more often it's walked, the easier and clearer it becomes to follow. With consistency, many people report recovering more quickly from stressful moments, noticing fewer racing thoughts at night, sleeping more easily, and generally feeling steadier throughout their day. These are the kinds of changes people often describe, not overnight transformations, but a gradual, noticeable shift in how manageable life begins to feel. And now that you understand why this works, you're finally ready for the part that matters most, actually experiencing it for yourself. In the next video, you'll be guided through your very first self-hypnosis session, and you won't need any previous experience at all. Here's all you need to prepare. Find a quiet space where you're unlikely to be interrupted even for just a few minutes. Sit comfortably or lie down if that feels better to you. If you have headphones nearby, use them. They help minimize distractions and make the guidance feel more immersive. Then simply listen. Let the words guide you without trying to control the outcome. There is nothing you need to achieve, nothing you need to force, no version of doing it right that you might fall short of. Your only job, the only one, is to be present and to let your nervous system do what it already knows how to do. Before we close, it's worth remembering something important. Self-hypnosis was never about losing control. It was always about the opposite. Gently learning how to guide the way your mind and body respond to stress, instead of simply reacting to it on autopilot. And like any meaningful change, that journey doesn't begin with a dramatic leap. It begins quietly with a single session, one calm moment where you finally let your mind rest. I'll see you there in your very first guided self-hypnosis experience.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com